waiting on the day I could send my worries on their way. Your love to me is like honey on my tongue. You soothe my woes when the day is done. You already know. You already know.
The Canon FL50mm lens from 1971. Let's go ahead and talk about why you should be looking at getting yourself a vintage lens instead of spending hundreds if not thousands of dollars more on modern day cinema lenses. So the Canon FL50mm was built in 1971 and it comes in a full metal body build. This is going to withstand the test of time. It already has, being that it was built in 1971 and we're in 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if this lens is still functioning 100 years down the road. A couple of things that I do want to mention with this lens is that they're super affordable. You can find them on eBay for around the $50 range. When it comes to aperture, you're looking at an f1.8 all the way up to a 16 aperture. This is great because it gives you the best of both worlds. At an f1.8 or 2.8, you're going to get that soft vintage video look that a lot of people have come to enjoy, especially when it comes to vintage lenses. And at an f14, f16 aperture, you're going to get sharp footage while still holding on to the vintage lens characteristics that you would get with other vintage lenses as well. The other thing that I was super surprised to find out with this camera lens is that you're able to achieve a swirly bokeh, which is common in the Helios 422 lenses. A lot of Hollywood films have started using that swirly bokeh effect on a lot of their films in the last recent couple of years. So when I found out that I was able to achieve it with this $50 lens, I was surprised because this lens is not very popular, especially through my research online and research on YouTube. And on top of that, they're very easy to find. There's a massive surplus on these lenses. There are many of them online, especially on eBay. So you can go ahead and find one very easily and at a very good price. A couple of things that I do want to mention is that if you're interested in getting this lens, you're going to need an adapter to connect it to your modern day camera. You don't need any electrical adapters because this lens is fully manual and it doesn't have any electronical connections to send information to your camera. So all you need is just an adapter that's going to allow you to mount this lens onto your camera body. On top of that, you're going to want a step-up ring from 48mm to 49mm. This lens does have a 48mm thread for filters, which aren't that common. When you use a step-up ring to bring that up to a 49mm filter thread, there are a lot of options. So you're better off just spending $10 on that step-up ring and then be able to afford a $25 variable ND filter to get the job done. A couple of things that you need to take into consideration is that this lens is a fully manual focus lens and there's also no in-body stabilization. I really don't see those as negative features for this lens because there's workarounds, especially with more modern cameras such as the Sony FX30 that I have been using it with. When it comes to the in-body stabilization, you can go ahead and activate the one inside of your camera, and on top of that, a lot of post-production softwares have stabilization features that you can add onto your footage, such as DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere. In my scenario, I had my in-camera body stabilization turned on to the standard setting on my Sony FX30, and then on top of that, I added some stabilization inside DaVinci Resolve that got rid of all the micro jitters that you would be able to notice if you didn't have any stabilization turned on. So do take into consideration that you will need to use some stabilization, or if you're using a gimbal, you should be perfectly fine. When it comes to the focusing, this lens is manual focus. 1971 was a little bit too early for autofocus lenses, but when it comes to focusing with this lens, I use the focus peaking settings within my camera and I'm able to nail focus every single time. So there's no issues when it comes to focusing or stabilization with this lens because all the workarounds that are available nowadays completely get rid of that even being an issue. So would I recommend getting this lens? The answer is going to be yes, especially when you could get the full combo of lens, step-up ring, variable ND filter, and adapter for only $100. It is going to far surpass any expectations that you have and save you tons of money in comparison to any cinema lenses that you can find nowadays, or even any budget lenses that you can find. I will continue testing out this lens because now I have an adapter to easily use it with my Sony FX30. On top of that, I have a 70 to 200 Canon vintage lens that I want to test out. But if you guys do have any questions or want any additional information, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Other than that, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Thank you.